Bio's speech last evening. Sila from the Strategic Communications Unit and also the Executive Director of the Same Facility yesterday. Did his manner and tone come as a surprise to Sierra Leoneans last evening?
Thank you again for having me. No, not at all. His Excellency the President has always spoken with passion, right, with fortitude, if you like. And he has always been able to speak to our higher angels, yeah? Trying to bring out the best in us, Sierra Leoneans, making sure that we focus on the things that brings us together, that binds us together. It's about unity, right? It's about having a dialogue. It's about conversations, right? It's about development. How do we move the country forward? And we did see that in his speech yesterday. We know that it was one of the recommendations from the just concluded dialogue between the All People's Congress Party and the Sierra Leone People's Party, and the Chief Minister was there who signed for and on behalf of government, showing that His Excellency the President was committed. But even before that, His Excellency the President in his address to Parliament has talked about peace, unity, bringing the country together. In his address at the UN General Assembly, he used at that moment again to talk about peace and unity and the things we can do, amongst many things he said. And so, yes, it was a requirement, but it's not surprising coming from His Excellency the President. He was in his element yesterday. One of the best speeches, if not the best, by President Julius Maada Bio. And he spoke to the issues as required.
Why did it take him so long to spoke the way he spoke last night?
Well, don't forget that the dialogue ended, I think it was last week. And he, amongst a number of things he was asked to do, right, and for which government has given a commitment to, right, addressing the nation was definitely one of them. And so definitely he had to look, right, within his tight schedule to see.
What is it? My point is, this is something, or this is a tone, or this is a manner that people had asked for long before even the dialogue commenced, even before the 2020 elections ended. Many people had asked for such a statement from the president.
So let us go back to several statements he has made so far since his election or the election again as President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. You remember him talking about Saful. Low celebrate Saful, right? Low vote Saful, low go now Saful. I think it is in keeping with that tone that he was able to talk to the nation yesterday. So it's not out of the blues that suddenly he has been talking about unity and reconciliation and peace and dialogue. Right, he has extended overtures, right, for the longest time since the elections to the opposition party and all other political parties. Thankfully, we now know that the All People's Congress will be in Parliament tomorrow, including local councils. I mean, if we were to go by what CDI, the National Publicity Secretary, has indicated. And so I think, look, at the end of the day, His Excellency the President has given a clear commitment to every single one of those recommendations, right, from the dialogue, right, to pursue them, right, in the context of the law, because he keeps saying we have to respect our laws. And in those recommendations also, they talked about the laws, the Constitution of the Republic of Sierra Leone. Yeah? And so it is within that framework, in that context, that everything, right, is going to be looked at. And he has shown commitment from day one, right, and will continue to show.
So has he accepted everything that came out of the dialogue?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I have just stated it, and definitely he did say that in his speech yesterday. Right? I mean, he said Sierra Leoneans are tired of political bickering, hate speech, and disunity, and together we must say never again in this time to focus our energies, ideas, and our collective will towards national agenda that delivers food security, provides jobs for our youth, empowers our women, and prepares our nation into a middle-income country. You know? So, I mean, that was the tone, that was the manner of the speech of His Excellency the President. Right? He also said, and I'm quoting him again from his speech yesterday, to every citizen of this country, I tell you, this dialogue transcends politics and political divides. It is about our country and our people. And we must continue to work hard to promote the values of inclusiveness and unity.
Even after the speech, I spoke to one political commentator who said politicians know when to use the tones. They know when it is time for politics. They have the political tone. And they know when it is time for reconciliation. They know how to use the reconciliatory tone as well. And that was what the president used last evening. And the question that the person asked is, why can't the politicians maintain this kind of tone every time and again?
Well, I mean, I don't know if there was any amount of historical context, right, or understanding of the president that we have since 2018. Right, I'm sure to a point he probably may have been right, maybe with other presidents, not necessarily with President Julius Maada Bio. He has been very consistent in his tone and in his manner and in his demeanor. He has always talked about unity. He has always talked about bringing people together. Right? He has always shown that commitment. Right? Otherwise, some of the monumental things we have done as a government would never have been possible had he not shown that demeanor and disposition. Right? In his leadership, he has always led by example. Right? And yesterday was just one more.
But it just concluded 2018 elections. If you are to listen to some of the statements made by Dr. Samura Kamara and even President Bio as a candidate, some of those statements, many people say we are fiery statements made by the two leading politicians.
So look, campaigns are not pleasant, not by any means. Yeah. But what you also have to understand, that is what makes us.
But that's a deliberate example that politicians have always used. That during campaign, we can say things.
I don't think that's a perfect example to give.
No, but I mean, you are one person who has always given that example. That during campaigns, people can say anything.
But that is precisely the point, right? You say things that you're looking to.
Even if they can undermine national unity and cohesion, you say them.
Look, so there is no ill intent, right? Right? Neither from no presidential candidate. No, any candidate whatsoever, whether it's a local council, a mayoral district, right, or parliamentarians. There is no ill intent to bring and cause instability. People may have said things during the campaign, right, but then once campaigns are over and results are announced, I mean, that's the case.
I remember hosting you here. You did say, Samura Kamara made certain statement that, in your own estimation, those statements were tantamount to creating panic and disunity in the country.
Look, again,
I can quote you.
I'm also very forward-looking in life. Yeah, I always say glass half full instead of it being half empty. My point is, even if
so do you want to give us that now?
Even if he may have, we're talking about moving forward.
Okay.
In a tranquil and peaceful atmosphere. How do we come together? Whatever may have been said is now in the past. Yeah, we have learned from it. We're moving forward. Right? And it is in that spirit I would also like to congratulate Dr. Samura Kamara and the leadership of the APC for going into those conversations, yeah, and giving their best, right, putting their best foot forward. Ultimately, they realized it was about Sierra Leone, it was about the country, it was about development. It is about development. It is about Sierra Leone and how we can come together. So those party political persuasions may come, right, when elections come again. But for now, I think in the spirit of unity and harmony and peace and love, this newfound rapprochement, right, that we're seeking to maintain, I think we should allow that atmosphere to.
Thank you very much, Iman. What a nice way to bring in Ibrahim Tomi, the executive director of the Center for Accountability and Rule of Law. He has also watched the president's speech, and I'm sure Ibrahim Tomi, welcome to the podium.
Oh, thank you.
How would you assess the president's tone last evening?
It was just the kind of tone we expected from him. And it's the kind of tone that I would expect from the APC leadership and hopefully their supporters. This country needs unity, we need peace, we need cohesion. I mean, to be honest, this is not about one party or the other, it's about the people, it's about us. We cannot move forward in an atmosphere of,
rancor,
just tension, toxicity, we have to start talking, debating constructively.
So did the speech meet the expectations of citizens last night?
I can't speak for every citizen, but certainly speaking for myself, I like the tone, I like his demeanor, I like everything he said. especially his commitment to the communique. Because let's face it, there was a dispute. Election results were announced, the opposition disagreed, they didn't go to court, and they agreed to subject themselves to a process led by our regional and international partners. Both parties, the government and the APC, came and discussed over a period of 3 days. Civil society played its own part, and we have an agreement between the two parties to say we know that it's not perfect, and let's be honest, we all have a responsibility as journalists, as citizens, as CSOs, to make sure that we bring this country together, and even communicate in a way that fosters peace, unity, and make sure that those who participate in that process continue to believe that they did the right thing in the interest of the country. Nothing is perfect. Life itself is not perfect. And in an ideal world, you would have said, no, if you disagree with the election result, go to court. That's what I would say, and that's what I believe in. But they didn't do that. And the government said, yes, you are brothers and sisters. We're happy to meet with you and resolve this. Because the whole point of going to court, of course, is to resolve a dispute. They have chosen perhaps mediation, you call it, which is a dispute resolution mechanism itself. It is not provided for in the Constitution or in our laws or in the Public Elections Act. But for example, when I did my electoral justice report in 2002, you should read it, I did make the point about the need for a mediated resolution of election-related disputes. So not that I'm saying that was what they ought to have done. They could have done something else, but that was what they chose, and the government submitted to it, and international partners supported it. We have an outcome that hopefully brings the country together,
so and
hopefully provides an opportunity. Most importantly for me, for most people, it's just about the immediate gains. APC members get their return to parliament, get their salaries back, and the people who have been accused are facing charges which are politically, I don't think it's fair to say politically motivated, but perhaps politically related, because people who are protesting, for example, before the elections or during the elections, you can say it's politically related, not necessarily politically motivated. People like those get them off the hook, having regard to the laws of the country, of course. And there are ways the laws provide for that. You can go to court legitimately. I've had a lot of people express comments, really ignorant comments. The DPP can go to court in a normal case to say we adduce no further evidence. That's what we call non-prosecution. It's happened so many times. And now when they say people in the interest of dialogue and progress and moving forward, people who are arrested in circumstances related to politics, right? The president can grant pardon. People have been convicted and they release people every year. It's consistent with the laws of the country. And people have tried to make that like we've never had instances where the president of the state has granted pardon, where a judge can even convict you and binding over the peace to say, go, you've convicted you, but I'm not going to send you to jail, go away. It's consistent with the law. But here with social media, we are all experts. Everyone is an expert, and unfortunately, the studio experts get to win the day because they're the ones who have the loudest voice nowadays. Everything in that communique, I insist, can be done having regard to the laws of the country.
But how do you think Dr. Samura Kamara and the APC should reciprocate now that the president has spoken first? According to the agreement, he was supposed to speak and he has now spoken. And how do you think the APC and Dr. Samura Kamara should reciprocate, should receive the president's speech?
I really like the way you put it, the APC and Dr. Samura Kamara. I like to think that the leadership of the APC who participated in that dialogue went to it, to the dialogue with sincerity, and they remained committed to it. I followed it. I was in the room, but I followed it on regular. Every hour I checked with my friends who were in the room. They were very committed. And for people, and again, this is the thing, for people who are not privy to the conversation, discussions in that room, you think that, these guys went and just, played and got out and signed a communique. It was heated on occasions. It was really tense, and it needed the grace of God and the dexterity of the interlocutors from the AU, ECOWAS and Commonwealth to calm them down to get to where we are. It serves no one's purpose to have a country where the opposition is not part of governance, where the country feels divided. That's not democracy. It doesn't serve the opposition, it doesn't serve the interest of the ruling party, it serves nobody's interest. Let's face it, if you only understand it from that angle, and actually it has to be said that there was no way you are going to reverse the outcome, because the only way you can reverse it legally will be to go to court. You have chosen not to go to court, and I understand that. So what we got, I would say, was the best possible outcome for this country. So what should the APC, not just the APC and its leadership, but even the SFB should do, is to basically rally behind that agreement, ensure that we hold the government, because it's the government which has most of the obligation to deliver, hold the government to account and ensure that they do what is contained in that agreement. On the part of the supporters of both political parties, I think we all need peace. You may have your own interest, you may have your own agenda, but at the end of the day, let the national agenda reign supreme, because if we have peace, we can move this country forward. Okay. And hopefully, for me, the biggest gain from this is the opportunity to review our electoral system, the framework, the standards, the procedures, so that by 2028 we won't get back to where we are. This is the point, especially when it comes to results management. That is the opportunity that we should all grab and move forward as a collective.
Well, I only hope it will not be a knee-jerk approach or the brigade way of responding to issues in Sierra Leone.
We have a long time to do that. We have until 2028. If we even say we are spending 3 months every year, we should be able to get a perfect piece of legislation before 2027. Yes.
Here is Ibrahim Tomei, the Executive Director of the Center for Accountability and Rule of Law. It's Podium, coming to you live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation. Well, Leone Rock, formerly King Ho Mining Company, is one of the mining companies operating in Sierra Leone. Well, it operates in Tonkoli District, which is known for a large iron ore deposit. Well, the company is presently battling with another sister company, I would say, for the control of the Pepper Port, which is meant for the shipment of iron ore out of the country. Well, there have been so many reports, so many accusations and counter allegations. I'm sure if you've been following the traditional media especially, you must have seen so many headlines, so many articles written by journalists and other social commentators. So today we are having someone from Leone Rock, who is Salim Sila, who is the Chief Technical Officer of Leone Rock Metal Group. Welcome to the program, sir.
Good afternoon.
What's going on?
Yeah, well, I'm also very shocked. Like so many things going on newspapers, radios, and TVs. As far as we, Leone Rock Metal Group, is concerned, we're just going about our business, which is investment, mining ore, exporting ore, and discussing with the government. So most of what is being said, we only read it on newspaper. We don't really busy ourselves with those things.
Okay, what agreement do you have with the government of Sierra Leone?
Yeah, well, we have a mining lease agreement. As you know, we've been mining in Tonkolili for the past 2 years. We've been exporting iron ore. Recently, we've also started exporting 62% iron ore concentrate for the first time in Tonkolili district. We are also negotiating with the government for the extension of our rail and port management and operational agreement.
I mean, that is the bone of contention here, the rail and port. That is the subject of discussion on the media for the past 1 month now. What exactly is Leone Rock asking for?
Yeah, well, we are not really asking for anything that we want to compare like with other companies, like in the form of competition or anything. We just offering the best to the government and the people of this country. And I tell you, what we offer this government is gonna be a blueprint in West Africa. There is no agreement in this country, in the history of this country, that's better than what we offer.
What makes it so?
Oh yeah, so I have facts. All I'm saying here, people could read the agreement of Arise and let them read what we propose to the government, and I put my job on the line if anything they found that is not correct. Now let's take the first day. I see some newspaper printing about RS will be paying X and Leone Rock will be paying X. So look at the both agreement. We're actually offering $1.5 million annually to the government. And I do know in our RISE agreement, I saw 1.1 million US dollars. And now let me give you the difference. For our agreement, $1.5 million, we also offered 5% increment year on year. So if we pay 1.5, next year will be plus 5%, and the total of that plus 5%. So let's think about the community. The community has been complaining for a very long time about the surface rent payment and all of these things, but the government has been paying them. But the money is really small, talking of 385 million loans. We are going to pay them for the first time 250,000 US dollars per annum, and also 5% increment year on year. Now let's take
but I mean, these are all catchy and juicy things that multinational companies normally use to entice governments all over the world to give in to certain agreements that they may want to come into.
Yeah, well, for us, you cannot say that, because if you look at what we've done in the mining, we started paying 1% of our revenue, even when it was not a law. We are the first company. It was 0.01%. Well, even the 0.01%, as you are aware, African Minerals and Shandong Steel, they mined for 10 years period. They couldn't pay the 0.01% for 10 years, so they left. They didn't pay a cent to the people, no development. We came in within 9 months. We said we're going to pay 1%. We paid, and His Excellency the President was there to hand over the check. And this year you also saw we paid the highest amount, which was over 20.3 billion loans to the community. So we say 1%. It's still not a law. So by any means, we are even breaking the law by paying more than what the government is asking us to pay.
So that's what I'm saying. Is that not a way to entice the government?
No, well, it's not actually. We're saying like we have to do more, because we are not a company that's there to stay for a year or two. We are here to stay for a very long time, because the mine life of our deposit is not even our own generation seated here today. We're talking of the next generation. We're talking of 90 plus years. So we are here to mine for 90 plus years. I will be around. So we have to do things that will benefit the people of this country, but also that will stand the test of time, because we'll be living here, we'll be building glass houses. So we don't want to put things that will collapse going along.
One question many people have also asked is this issue of multinational companies shipping raw materials from Sierra Leone, from Africa, taking them to Asia or Europe or the United States, converting those raw materials to finished product and bring the product to Africa. Do you, as Leone Rock, do you guys have any intention of using our resources, the iron ore for example, converting it into finished product and help cushion some of this issue of importation that we are facing?
Yes, and that's actually a very good question, because if you look at Tonkolili iron ore mine during the days of African Minerals and Shandong, I have to go back to them for historic reasons, because they were there. You realize that after a very period of 6-8 months, some people will go home, because they said iron ore price is down and all of that. It's because the grade that is there is 57%. It's actually DSO, direct shipping ore. So when we came in, as I mentioned earlier, we actually started exporting 62% concentrates. And I can assure you by the end of 2024, there will be no 57% coming out of Tonkolili. We'll be exporting completely beneficiated iron ore to the market. This brings more revenue, but we are not even looking at that. Like I said, we are looking at long term. So in 5 years time, we're going to build the first steel smelting plant in this country. So we're looking at it, why do we have this iron ore, global market shock? It's because the grade is low, and you have to export to the international market. So when we have our steel smelting industry here, we don't have to worry about global market price anymore, because we are exporting final product. So with that, we can be shock resistant for our ore, and also we can bring in more revenue, of course, for the government.
Mr. Government had in mind to make the Pepele Rail Ports an independent entity, wherein an independent person or company would be in charge, and mining company will come and use the facility, ship out and whatever product they want to ship out. As it is now, you are asking to have a full control of the facilities.
Yes.
Is that not going to to serve as a disadvantage to other companies. I will come to a letter written, which I'm sure you must have seen, the Marampa stuff. They said in the letter that they wrote to the minister that you asked them to sell the iron ore that they had mined to you, instead of you allowing them to use the port facilities.
Yeah, well, that's actually what they say, but they haven't proven any evidence to support that. But one thing I can tell you,
definitely they would have written such a letter and citing that without having any.
Well, if they can write a letter, they can also prove an evidence. So even in their letter, they even suggesting that Leone Rock is asking for 20 years time. They say it's excessive. I've seen Marampa's proposal. So this is just basic hypocrisy. They are asking for the same number of years because they very well know as investors that it's impossible for you to put certain amount of money. It's like you are renting a house. So if you cannot spend 500,000 leones to repair a house, you have to pay 100 leones for one. The landowner say, well, it's for 1 year. When you pay 100 leones, so 100 leones times how many months should give you 5 million leones? So the mathematics is just basic. So they are not talking to fools. But one thing I can tell you is our agreement, the government is going to get better, and this country is going to get a lot more money and a lot more incentive than any company, including Marampa, offer.
What about the agreement the government had with Arise, for example? Are you asking them to go against that agreement to scrap it or what?
No, that's up to the government. But all I'm saying is, now let's look at some money, because for government, what is important is the money coming to them. So Leone Rock agreement say income tax, we're going to pay 25% to the government. Arise agreement say year 1 to year 15 is 0. Go and check the agreement. If I'm wrong, I put my job.
Well, I mean, I have not read the agreement, so I don't think I'm comfortable enough to discuss the agreement.
So anyway, you can call me for another program.
If I had read the two agreements, then I would have been in a very strong position to critique both of them and ask critical questions. So I don't want us to focus on the agreement for now.
Yeah, and this is why I got really disappointed, because you have very senior journalists that are just debating on the issues of the car would fall rate, this Talabi kind of body. This country is gone beyond that. You don't just bring OJ and Palo and people dance, they drink and they gone. We should look at issues. And the issues are, what is the government gaining? So I was expecting this very high caliber journalist to sit. Can I have Leone Rock agreement? Can I have Arise agreement? And they analyze this for the people.
Yeah, I have started reading them, but I have not read them in detail yet.
So I am completely disappointed.
Okay. He is Salim Silla, who is the Chief Technical Officer of Leone Rock Metal Group. We are going for a short break. After the break, the program continues.